Hi, I'm David and welcome to Leisure Bit, and today we're going to be fitting a blind spot detection system which uses microwaves to detect vehicles or pedestrians in your blind spot. So let's get cracking. The reason for fitting this is, with the vehicle being bigger than a car, and cars have blind spots as well, you tend to get a little bit bigger blind spot. And if there's a lot going on the road at a particular point in time, then a little bit of a helping hand where if you indicate to pull across, this will beep if there's somebody where you're going to actually pull across into. So it just gives you that extra little bit of a eye out to make sure that you don't end up inadvertently running into anyone. Personally, I think these are invaluable. I've had one on my car and I had one on my previous car, and it just keeps a lookout for you. It could effectively save your life because all it takes is something else to be going on, distracted, and then ending up pulling into the side of somebody. And also people do some daft things. I had an occasion where somebody had gone round a roundabout and over the crossed lines that you're not supposed to drive onto, trying to kind of pull off onto a junction, which they shouldn't have done. Fortunately, no issue, I saw them, but all manner of things happen on the road, so it's better to be safe, isn't it? I bought this online, so let's have a look and see what we get in the box. First of all, we get an invoice for £159.99. We also get some fitting instructions and what comes in the packaging. Let's lift out the box now and get the important things. So there's one of the microwave sensors, and that fits on the behind the back bumper against the bodywork. And there's the other sensor to the side. We've got then a wiring loom which connects into the control box. We've got the aforementioned control box there. In this packet we've got the buzzer, and we've also got the illuminated warning information that sticks up the front. And then we've got various extension cables here to get things to the right place. We've also got the brackets, and last but not least, we've got a little gadget for working out the angle, because when we fit it against the van, it needs to be angled off slightly. You can see there. That's to make sure it detects correctly. So that's everything in the box, and the box is empty now. There's one of the indicators, so that sticks on, and that basically lights up if there's something in your blind spot, and if you're indicating and there's something in your blind spot, it flashes. There's the buzzer, so we'll mount that somewhere sensible. There's the other one, the other indicator. We've also got a GPS aerial that we need to mount somewhere as well when we're fitting the device. The reason for the GPS, you'll be thinking, what on earth do you need a GPS for? It's to determine what speed you're moving at to make sure it does the correct behaviour for that. There's two red and two yellow sensor wires that runs to the control unit, which is here, and then we've got the wiring loom for the control unit there. And the connections we need to make are, we obviously need to connect the buzzer, we need to connect the left and the right sensor, we need to connect the LEDs, we need to connect the power to make it work. There's the GPS connection. And this one, let's take a quick look. We've got the right trigger, which connects to the right indicator, the reverse trigger, which connects to reverse. Then we've got the left trigger, which connects to the left indicator. And we've got the accessories connection, and we've got a ground connection there. So that's the wiring we need to connect up. Just untangle that now, and then we'll see what sort of length of wire we have available for this. There we go. And that goes to the control box. The control box also comes with some sticky pads so that we can mount that in a sensible point, and it looks like we've got plenty of length of cable there to go to the accessories. Clearly I'll put a fuse on this as well when we connect it through. It doesn't look like it's come with a fuse unless it's tucked in elsewhere. There's also some more sticky pads there and some cable ties. So definitely need a fuse on that one, probably a 1 or a 2 ampere I would suggest with that size wire. So let's go and get on with the job. I'm just marking up where I'm going to fit things. So I think I'm going to fit the indicators there, on there, and one over here. Just giving it a quick test power up as well, just to make sure it's working before we go to the trouble of fitting it. And it's powering up, it's beeping, and the LEDs are illuminating amber on the floor there. So let's get on with fitting it now. So what I've done is I've mounted the sensor on the bracket there. It just went in with 4 little screws in there, and then I've put some sticky on the back. I'm going to actually attempt to stick it on and then perhaps fit the screws later if it's not solid enough. Worth noting, the red one is for the passenger side, or the left hand side, as looking from the back of the van, and the yellow one fits on this side. How we actually want it is so that that's lying basically at pointing straight ahead at the angle, but we want to actually angle the sensor outwards that way so it detects passing traffic. Originally I was going to take the moulding off here, but I can actually get underneath here, just under there, and fit it, and I think that's going to be about the right height, so we'll give that a go now. So the plan is to fit it under here, in that space there, which is just behind the bumper protection on the side. So before sticking it on, I'm actually going to give it a wipe down with some kitchen roll, just to get any muck off that's behind there. And I tightened the bolts up here with, you can probably just see them there, it's in there, just to set the angle before fitting it to save faffing on later with an 8mm spanner. So I've actually used some Velcro on here, reason being it sticks much better than what it came with, and it gives a little bit of a gap for any kind of surface differences to stick to, because it's more padded, and I can adjust it if it's not quite right. So let's go and get sticking. Got the first one on there, be able to see. So we're going for the fitting up here again. It's kind of around there, just behind here, and I've given it a wipe up and it'll just fit behind there. Worth noting, the cable needs to be down over, and as you can see, when it fixes on, it'll angle out that way. So both of them are now fitted, so next step is to test it before we go any further on. So just giving that a quick test, and it seems to be working as expected, so let's have a further look. So I then fitted the indicators that you can see there. The left hand one ran along behind the screen and down to the driver's door pillar, removed the covering, and then ran the wires, including the positive feed which goes up to connect into the fuse box. I then protected the wires where it made sense to and ran it under the step and then through to the door pillar, which you can see here. From there I fed the wires under the floor, as you can see there. So at the moment I've got the cables, I need to pop some conduit on them. You can see I've protected the positive there, just need to extend that along and put a bit of conduit there just to protect the whole loom there. I did try and get it behind here, but it's quite tight and there wasn't much space, so I've actually cut a hole in my box in here and then taken it along, and then that goes behind the washroom and then comes out at the other side. Let's have a look at that now. So bit of a rat's nest at the moment, but we're going to tidy all that up as part of the finish the job. We've got the cables here, the 3 of them, one to connect to the left, one to connect to the right, and one to connect to the reverse, which are to connect up next once we've checked everything is working all right, and we've got everything else feeding through here. I say, don't panic too much. We are going to tidy all this up, and we're going to box all that off so it's nice and tidy. And we've got the cables then feeding along there, and again we've got some conduit to put on those to finish the job off. We're going to cover the finishing of the job in the next video on this one. I've split it in 2 parts because I just want to make sure it's fully tested before coming back, so please don't go rushing out and buying one. Right, so quite a bit of finishing off to do before we complete the job, as you can probably see. A lot of tidying up to do, and of course, most importantly, we've got to connect up to the back indicators and the reversing sensor to make sure everything works as we'd expect it to. So far the testing's going well, because as I said, I didn't want to finish the job off until we're certain everything was working as it was expected to. Finish the job off. I'm going to cover that in a second part of the video, because I want to make sure I give it a thorough test and then give you a bit of a demonstration to how it works on the road. So we'll get that up in a couple of weeks time, because we've got a couple of other things coming up in the next few weeks that hopefully you'll find useful. I hope you found this video useful and gives you a little bit of a thought. If it's something you considered for your van, do let us know your thoughts in the comments. I'd really appreciate your views on it. Personally, so far from what I've seen, it seems to be pretty useful and it seems to work as good as the one does in the car, and I find that invaluable. I'd love to have specified it on the vehicle originally, but there was no kind of choice to specify in any of the safety features, and as you probably know by now, I am fairly safety conscious, and I just find this sort of thing really helpful because it just keeps an extra eye out. But as I say, we'll follow up with part 2 where we finish the job, let's do the tidying up and let's demo it. But for now, we'll leave it there, and I will catch you on the next one. Look after yourselves. Bye.